much for joining us on this edition of the news. In our major stories tonight, commercial motorbike riders have been banned from circulating in the economic capital, Douala, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is one of the resolutions taken by the governor of the Littoral Region, Samuel Jodone Ifarha today in his office here in Douala, and it comes after following chaos that was caused across some neighborhoods of Douala. That was yesterday with the alleged presence of some violent young men known as Le Microbe here in Douala. What actually happened in Douala yesterday? We'll tell you more in this newscast, so stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. An uneasy calm now reigns in the economic capital, Douala, following an evening of marathon across some neighborhoods here in the economic capital. The city dwellers ran helter-skelter in the evening of yesterday with news of the alleged presence of some violent youngsters present in Douala. They are known as Le Microbe. Our reporter Lucille Yengu ACM made a stop over at some neighborhoods here in Douala which were touched by the reported presence of Le Microbe here in Douala. She now tells us what the inhabitants actually lived in the evening of yesterday.
The presence of some violent youth known as Le Microbe is causing fear and panic in most neighborhoods in Douala. The most recent was on Tuesday, December 13th, when there was total confusion, people running helter-skelter in quarters like Equinoxe, New Bell, Daido, Bedi, Ange Raphael, and others, because they heard that the microbe were around even without seeing them.
We just see that there are some group of boys outside moving with machetes and knives, cutting people. So we just had people should run and enter their houses. That's how we just ran and we enter our house. We don't know what was going on. We just see that there are some group of boys, they call them microbe. So that's what we just heard. I've just heard about it, but I've never seen them.
Businesses have been perturbed and many are scared of moving freely in the town of Douala.
I understand morning, say that I'm coming for the quarter, promoted for last or thing, materials. It's not normal. We are not in security.
According to some inhabitants of Daido, Rue de la Joie, they haven't still recovered from the trauma. Sociologists on their part say if the situation is not solved, fear and panic will continue to reign among the population.
You know, it is like you have a snake that enters your house and you just leave it like that, and you don't kill the snake, or you don't take some measure to put out the snake. When you have the feeling that the snake is still in the house, you fear that house. That's the same problem with those people. In those areas that you have realized that they are not suspect, but there were people that alerted for the presence of those delinquents, it is because they are feeling insecurity in their mind. They are perceiving insecurity because the security is not solved by security forces. It is now the matter of security forces to solve it. They should arrest them very fast. They should react very fast.
The population are calling on the security forces to ensure that security is reinforced in the city of Douala so as to contain the microbe.
And now, following that chaos which caused panic in some neighborhoods here in Douala by the alleged presence of Le Microbe, the governor of the Littoral Region, Samuel Jodone Ifarha, had a somewhat urgent meeting today in his office with media men and women. Among others, it was resolved that commercial bike riders would not be circulating at night in the city of Douala precisely from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. A reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, was at the governor's meeting, and he now tells us more in this write-up. We are coming to the report of for me, Armstrong Sander, which tells us about the communique by the governor in a meeting which he urgently had with media men and women today in his office. It followed the panic that was caused by the alleged presence of those violent youngsters here in the economic capital who are known as Le Microbe, and from that communique it emerged as that commercial motorbike riders would not be circulating at night in the city of Douala in some neighborhoods precisely from the hour of 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. For me, Armstrong Sander attended the governor's office meeting at the governor's office. He now tells us more in this report. And now we talk something else. We are now taking you to talk about human rights violations in Cameroon, especially in the economic capital, Douala, and the United Nations Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa is striving to step up the capacities of national human rights institutions in the sub-region to protect the rights of citizens. And this is the purpose of a 3-day workshop taking place in Douala in a context where human rights violations and abuse is a major problem in countries. We will also come back to that report that will be in this edition of the news. Now we talk Christmas. The Christmas bells are already ringing in Cameroon, in the economic capital Douala. We take you now to some nursery and primary schools here in Douala, where end of year festivities took place in most of those nursery schools, and the children treated their parents and other visitors to rhymes, poems, and other recreational activities. Let's now have more with a reporter for me, Armstrong Sander.
End of year festivities have already begun in most nursery schools across the economic capital city, Douala. At the government nursery school Daido in the Douala 1 municipality, the kids, beautifully dressed, display their talent in drama, sketches, ballet, poems, and other creative activities.
For my mother and for my father.
The kids in this other nursery school are dancing to the rhythms of the Christmas dance, of the Christmas tree dance, and other recreational activities carried out by the kids to the amusement of their parents present.
Because when they came, they could not talk. Then now they can talk, they can say rhymes, they can act drama, they can dance.
Christmas presents and other gifts of encouragement were given out to the nursery school kids so as to enable them enjoy Christmas and the festive season with their family and friends.
And now we come back to this meeting, the urgent meeting which took place at the governor's office today, caused by the alleged presence of some violent youngsters in the economic capital, Douala. They are known as Le Microbe. The governor, in a communique during a meeting with media men and women, among other resolutions, said that commercial bike riders would not be circulating in the economic capital Douala at night precisely from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. A reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, attended the meeting at the governor's office. He now tells us more.
Less than 24 hours, Cameroon's economic capital city is gripped by terror and total commotion. As captured in these amateur videos, city dwellers are seen running helter-skelter. Behind the unusual panic, sources blame the appearance of a group of armed young individuals identifying themselves as Le Microbes, messengers of terror. A situation that got the city shut down in few hours. A narrative debunked by the Littoral Regional Governor Samuel Dieudonné Ivaha Dubois in a Wednesday morning security crisis meeting. The governor says what happened beginning 6 p.m. Tuesday, December 13, 2022 was simply manipulation of public opinion for political gains.
When people say that micro are here and there, you begin to run without saying micro. Are you serious? Every man that called me yesterday, microphones are here and there. Nobody took a picture saying that this is the micro the microbes that are in front of my house. Nobody.
The governor, however, accepted that the city of Douala is faced with a new trend of insecurity following a clash between security forces and hard drug dealers in the Makian neighborhood of the Douala 2 municipality. To keep Douala safe and secure, he outlined security measures.
I say that the motor bicycle are no more going to collect people from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. till the time that population will be ready to fight against those who are bringing bad news here and there. The second measure is to close what we call in the bars. The SDO is going to show the place where the bar have to be closed, because we have many of them where people are sitting to plan bad things in this town. We have the information about those bars, and we are going to close those ones. Those who are bringing cutlasses as their stick, if somebody is somewhere with cutlasses, we go and take him, catch him, and bring him to the judiciary court. Those who are bringing bad news here and there, we have to call for them and bring them back.
In the course of the security crisis meeting, the governor warned against individuals or groups of persons who will attempt to stand against the new measures outlined.
And now we come back to this report. The United Nations Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa is striving to step up the capacities of national human rights institutions of the sub-region to protect the rights of citizens. This is the purpose of a 3-day workshop taking place in Douala in a context where human rights violations are said to be on an increase in the country. Let's now have more with Staffman Babila Jonathan.
The fight against human rights violations and abuse by state institutions is still hampered by independence and effectiveness flaws in several Central African countries. More than half of the countries are not yet in alignment with the Paris Principle on the independence of national human rights institutions.
Within 10 countries in Central Africa covered by the United Nations Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa, you have just 4 countries which have an independent human rights institution, independent and effective.
The national human rights institutions should be independent to monitor, as you were saying now, to monitor what is happening, to report, to draw the attention of the state that this is not good. If they are not independent, they will not do that.
Talking to the media during a regional workshop in Douala, Cameroon National Commission on Human Rights chairman highlighted the law to back up the independence of the institution under his leadership.
The Cameroon Human Rights Commission is founded on law. It means that the government cannot sign a decree to suppress it or to change its functioning. It has been instituted by law. Second, we have a mandate of 5 years so that whatever we do, government cannot remove us. Contrary of members of government, we can be removed at any time. The head of state just need to move his head and they are moved.
The Central Africa Regional Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights is thus enforcing the capacities of national human rights commissions in Central Africa so that they can move to or stay at the level of independence needed to be effective and efficient in their duties.
The primary actor to protect human rights in the country is the state itself. And that's why we are strengthening the capacity of national human rights institutions, which are the state actors.
There are thieves, there are assaults, there are many things, there are rapes, and we have to fight against it, and you have to bring those people to respond before the justice.
Thank you, sir.
Meantime, the UN Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa is urging Equatorial Guinea and Sao Tome and Principe to set up national human rights commissions to enhance the protection of rights.
And now, floods caused by heavy rains have killed more than 120 people in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and 3 days of mourning have been declared in that effect. And the president of that country, Felix Tshisekedi, is attending the U.S. Africa Summit in Washington and is absent. He only reacted in a tweet, sending condolence messages to the bereaved families, and his absence from the scene has been criticized by local opinions. Let's now have more with our reporter Innocent Ase.
Tuesday's flood that killed over 120 people has been qualified by authorities as worst ever suffered by Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa, following an all-night downpour. Many roads in the heart of Kinshasa, a city of some 50 million people, were submerged for hours and a key supply route cut off. The government has announced 3 days of national mourning that began on Wednesday. President Felix Tshisekedi, who is attending the USA Africa Summit in Washington, sent his deepest condolences to bereaved families. In a tweet, he asked the national and provincial governments to come to the aid of the most vulnerable and to accelerate the work of rainwater drainage to prevent this type of disaster from repeating itself. Most of those who died, according to security sources, were on hillside locations where there had been landslides. Entire neighborhoods were flooded with muddy water, and houses and roads were ripped apart by sinkholes, including the N1 highway that connects Kinshasa to the chief seaport of Matadi. The Prime Minister's office said in a statement that the N1 could be closed for 3 to 4 days. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday joined the United States in blaming the climate crisis for major deadly floods. In November 2019, around 40 people in Kinshasa died in floods and landslides.
And now we talk sports at 8 p.m. today, Cameroon time. The Moroccan side will be facing the French national side in the semi-final match, and it is feared diplomatic tensions might escalate between the two countries after today's encounter. The reduction of the number of visas issued by to Moroccans by the French embassy led to a tense relationship between the both nations. Immaculate Fogwe tells us more.
The glass ceiling has been shattered. For the first time in the history of the World Cup, an African team finds itself in the semi-finals. The Atlas Lions of Morocco will be facing France few hours from now. Ahead of the encounter, fears have been raised over the outcome of this football encounter given the diplomatic tensions between both countries. It is feared that today's match may further worsen diplomatic ties between both nations. France and Morocco seem to be at their worst from the reduction of visas issued to Moroccans by the French embassy. In 2021, Paris decided to reduce the entry visa issued to Moroccans by half. In order to calm the tension, French Minister of Foreign Affairs Catherine Colonna will visit Morocco on December 15th. Her presence is to prepare for President Emmanuel Macron's visit in the North African country. Morocco's qualification for the semi-finals of the 2022 World Cup triggered scenes of jubilation among Moroccan fans in France. Thousands of Atlas Lions supporters gathered at Champs-Élysées to celebrate. Speaking during a televised program, Eric Tema questions how the Moroccans living in France only celebrated Morocco's victory and do not do the same for France, a country that is hosting them. He equally condemned the poor behavior of some Moroccan fans who were celebrating their country's qualification.
And now, still in sports, we take you to Qatar to meet our special envoy, Smart Njikan Gabriel, who tells us that Argentina are the first nation to qualify for the final of the ongoing. They were the first to qualify for the final of the ongoing World Cup taking place in Qatar. Leo Messi's led Argentina defeated Croatia by 3-0, but some supporters of Lionel Messi say Morocco should be the champions of the World Cup in Qatar. Let's now have more with our special envoy, Smart Njikan Gabriel.
Lionel Andres Messi was the star of the day after Argentina's crushing victory against Croatia in the first semi-final game of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Most of the Argentines celebrated the win with the statue of Lionel Messi at the Lusail Stadium this Tuesday. 3-0 was the final score, with a goal from Lionel Andres Messi. Most of the fans we spoke to are expecting a final between Argentina and Morocco, but are expecting that Morocco will win the cup against Argentina.
I'm very happy, of course, for Lionel Messi. He deserved this for the end of his career. We all, as footballers, we support Messi a lot, and I hope he will take the World Cup in the final. But I hope Morocco will be in the World Cup, the final World Cup.
You are waiting for a final between Morocco and Argentina.
Morocco and Argentina, yeah.
Why do you support Morocco and Argentina?
Because we are Arabs. We support each other. Imagine that South Africa in the final, who will support? If you are from Nigeria and in the final are playing South Africa, who will support?
I will support the best.
Yeah.
The best should win.
No, we as Arab, I support Morocco.
Argentina will be gunning for their third FIFA World Cup trophy, and that will be against either France or Morocco at the Lusail Stadium this weekend.
And now we stay with you, Smart. You tell us that the city which is going to host the finals of the World Cup in Qatar was before now a desert, and Qatari authorities had to use 12 years to build an entire city from a desert to the city of Lusail now at the moment. Let's now have more on what Lusail is all about in 12 years from a desert to a big city with you, Smart.
Before the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, handed the host right of the World Cup to Qatar way back in 2010, Lusail was a mere desert without any hopes of development. Located about 40 miles north of the city center of Doha, Lusail is now the second largest city in Qatar. The name Lusail came from an endemic flower in an area known as Al-Wasal. The rich history of the area dates as far back as during the reign of Sheikh Jassim bin Mohammed Al Thani, the founder of Qatar. The construction of Lusail for him was a vision to transform the economy and detach itself from oil dependency. The plan for the city's construction was nursed in 2002. And it was officially announced in 2005. But even though announced in 2005, work effectively started in 2006. It took the different companies about 12 years to construct the city of Lusail, which is now the largest in Qatar. Lusail has gotten an international attention because it is a $45 billion development effort stretching over 38 square kilometers. It is the second largest city in Qatar, which is the country's first sustainable smart city. Even though it is still emerging from the ground, Lusail can eventually have infrastructures to accommodate 450,000 people across the 19 different districts, which is made up. Worth noting is that each of the districts in Lusail has its specific identity. The Gulf district, for example, is one of the districts with the main attraction having the most expensive golf course. The waterfront residential district comprises of house built to have a real view of the sea coastline. The Marina district is another interesting area in Lusail. Apart from its luxurious hotels and apartments, it is specific for tourism because inside the Marina district there is the Katara Tower, Marina Twin Tower, and the Marina Mall, and the Energy District 1 and 2. While District 1 is the hub for gas and oil industry, District 2 is expected to house those employed in the commercial districts. The most important amongst them is the Stadium District, which is the attraction of the 2002 FIFA World Cup. One could easily move there through the Luxor Light Rail system and the Doha Metro service. Apart from the cited districts, many other districts exist, each with its specific item and architectural design of houses. Luxor now stands tall as one of the most visited areas when you visit Qatar, a city built within the space of just 12 years.
Thank you, Smart. And such transformations are very possible anywhere in the world, even in Africa and even in Cameroon. Viewers, we thank you so much for always being with us, but don't go away. The news in the French language will be coming up. That would be at 8 p.m. And at 8 p.m., Julien Best-Bissay and our virtual reporters who were on the field today will be telling you more on what happened with the local population of Douala and Le Microbe at 8 p.m. and also more on the governor's outing today banning the circulation of commercial motorbike riders. Thank you so much for being with us and see you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye for now.